In the complex masterpiece written by Emily Brontë, the bittersweet story that took place in Wuthering Heights and Thrushcross Grange Manor is told by a housekeeper named Nellie. When Thrushcross Grange's new tenant, Lockwood, asks her about the grumpy landlord, Heathcliff, she decides to pour her heart out and tell a story that she'd kept secret for so long. Everything starts from Nellie's childhood, when she served the Earnshaw family in Wuthering Heights. One day, Mr. Earnshaw brings home an orphan boy named Heathcliff, whom he plans to raise as his own son. Hindley, Mr. Earnshaw's son, doesn't take kindly to his new sibling, but Catherine, his daughter, grows fond of Heathcliff, becoming inseparable from him. Soon, Heathcliff becomes Mr. Earnshaw's favorite son, setting flames of jealousy alight in Hindley's heart. After the death of their father, Hindley inherits the manor and starts treating Heathcliff as a mere laborer. Once Catherine, the only tether keeping Heathcliff in Wuthering Heights, marries a boy named Edgar Linton from Thrushcross Grange, he decides to leave his home for good with a broken heart. Years pass by, and Heathcliff finally returns back to Wuthering Heights, determined to make Hindley and Catherine pay for wronging him. Shortly after, he decides to marry Catherine's sister-in-law Isabella, despite having no feeling for her, just to have claim on Thrushcross Manor. After Hindley passes away, Heathcliff inherits Wuthering Heights and decides to end Hareton, Hindley's son's education, in retribution. Meanwhile, Catherine loses her life while giving birth to her daughter, little Catherine, and her death inflicts such an immense grief upon Heathcliff that he begins talking to her ghost. Frightened by her husband's behavior, Isabella decides to take her baby and flee from Wuthering Heights after giving birth to a son named Linton. Several years pass, but the hatred in Heathcliff's heart does not subside. After the death of his mother, Linton returns back to Wuthering Heights, but his father has not even an ounce of love for him. Instead, he forces Linton to seduce Catherine's daughter in order to inherit the Thrushcross Grange. After the two marry, the sickly Linton passes away, and Heathcliff forces young Catherine to work as a servant in Wuthering Heights, while renting Thrushcross Grange to Lockwood. After hearing this story, Lockwood immediately moves out of Thrushcross Grange, having no desire to play a role in Heathcliff's malicious plan. 6 months pass, but an insatiable sense of curiosity pulls Lockwood back towards Thrushcross Grange and Nellie. He asks Nellie to see if anything happened since his departure, and her answer shocks him to no end. He learns that Heathcliff suddenly lost his life after a nightly stroll on the moors, and that Catherine has inherited Thrushcross Grange and plans to marry Hareton, her cousin, who has inherited Wuthering Heights. After hearing the news, Lockwood decides to pay a visit to the graves of Catherine and Heathcliff, hoping that the two could finally be reunited in death.